see life as building these little puzzle pieces, putting puzzle pieces together, getting the pieces that make your puzzle. I can do anything.
どうも中曽です。20代戻れたら何したいですか？皆さん今までの人生であん時ああしとけばよかったなとか、あん時こうしとったらもっとよかったのにって思ったことないですか？ありませんか？というわけで今回は日本で活躍する海外の教授に後悔や人生経験についてインタビューしていきたいと思います。それでは行ってみましょう。What do you think is the one thing that young people should do while they're young?
Great question. I think students should definitely travel.
Okay.
Study abroad or live abroad.
Live abroad.
I mean, I know everyone says that, but I would suggest more than just a week or 2 weeks, but actually go live in another country and experience what it's like for you to be in uncomfortable situations and where it's different from what you're used to, because it just builds such resilience and being adaptable. You know, in my 20s, I lived abroad in Japan for almost 2 years, and this was before internet, before you could text anyone. I mean, I was really living on my own, away, and after that, I'm like, I did that. I can do anything. So it really is a way to build confidence. So I think that traveling on your own, traveling to places that might be really different is a really good experience. Yeah.
Do you have any regrets through your life?
Oh, regrets. That's a fun word. I actually don't.
You don't have
I
regrets?
Don't.
Okay.
You know, when I look back at times in my life, there are times when I say, oh, maybe I should have done that, or maybe I should have studied Japanese harder. But at the end, it all worked out okay. I mean, where I am today, teaching at a university in Japan, is nothing that I planned when I left college. You could not have planned my career. So I just feel like that's a key quality to have, is just to be willing to be proactive and think, what do I want to do? What activities would be really good for me? And then trust me, you will have a point where you're like, I think I want to do something else, and listen to that.
And then
Listen to that and then start going, okay, what is it that I want? And I'll tell you, the funny thing is that when I was working in New York City and I was in human resources, Jinjibu, and you know, I liked it, I was good at it, but I knew in my gut that I wanted to be doing something else, and I didn't know what that was. And then I was at my younger sister's graduation from college, and behind the stage were faculty members. And this is the same school that I went to as a student. And I sat there and I went, oh, I'm supposed to be up there. I mean, really, it was like a light bulb. Oh, I'm supposed to be a college professor.
That might have been the turning point.
Yeah. And I was like, and that made so much sense to me. So even being able to start out with, okay, what are some little things that I think I want? And really thinking about, what kind of life do I want? What kind of life do I want? But, you know, do I want a life where work is my focus? Do I want a life where I'm married and I have kids? Like, really ask yourself those questions. And then be true to yourself, right? Don't just think, oh, I want to do what everyone else is doing, or everyone else is working and getting married and having kids. That's what I want to do. I didn't do that. And I feel like I've been true to myself by really listening and making decisions. And when I made decisions, I've made 2 big decisions. One was to leave that job in New York and go back to grad school. And another one, when I was in my mid-50s, I said, I'm going to leave my job that I had tenure at a college and move to Japan and find a job teaching. And both of those were, we say, no-brainers for me. The decision was easy because they felt right. Because I knew that they were right for me. Yeah, they were hard. They're big moves, but that was not a reason not to do them.
What do you think is the key to live a life without regrets?
So I think a life without regrets means you are willing to make big changes.
Willing to make
You're willing to make changes. And you're willing to be bold. And you're willing to go into something scary.
going to something scary.
And, yeah, scary and different and like, whoa, I don't know. And be like, yes, I'm going to say yes. I think that's what keeps you from having regrets.
So for you, the big change was moving to Japan, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, leaving my job in New York, you know, which was a good job, a good salary. I'm in New York City. I mean, everyone loves that, and I liked it, but it wasn't me.
It wasn't.
And I think that's another part about not having regrets is as you're growing up, and you don't figure this out right away, but you start to understand yourself more, and you start to be like, oh, that's important to me. Oh, that's important to me. That value is important to me. That person is important to me, and understand why. You know, why do I like that person in my life? Why do I like this job? Why don't I like this job?
The reasons.
The reasons. And you start thinking about yourself, and the more you know yourself, the more that you will find a job or a spouse or a situation that makes sense to you because you know who you are. A life without regrets means you're making decisions based on understanding you.
Understanding myself.
Yeah, right? I mean, people have, like, what do they regret? Oh, I didn't make that move, or I regret marrying that person, or I regret not marrying that person, or it's because there was a point where maybe they weren't true to themselves. That's why the regret is there.
Not to be honest.
Yeah, but if you're honest with yourself, and the more you know yourself, and it also does require having courage sometimes to say no, or it can be situations where, oh, I can't get out of this. No, you can. You can get out of anything.
Say yes.
Yeah.
What do you think is the most important value in life for you?
I really value honesty.
Honesty?
Don't lie to me. Just don't lie to me. I can tell, I feel like I can tell when people are being dishonest or hiding information. I don't like that. I might not always like what you say, but I'd rather you be truthful. I also think that honesty is something that's really innate to me. It's like natural for me. The other value, I think, in action is to really be loving and kind.
Loving and kind.
I don't think most of us are as loving and kind as we should be. Right?
Loving and kind to other people?
To other people, loving and kind to yourself.
To myself?
You know, just really appreciating and being kind. You know, just doing the kind thing. We forget about that. And being willing that you are the giver, not always the receiver.
Receiver.
Right? You're not always like, what are they doing for me? You're like, what can I do for them? I don't do that enough. I'm trying to do that more. I'm trying to be more loving in the sense of seeing the good in everything and everyone. Really appreciating the good that is already happening, and then being kind to people.
What lessons do you think is the most important to share to young people?
It combines a lot of what I've already said, but I do think a couple of things. One is this idea of being intentional.
Being intentional?
You know, to really, don't just go through life with like, yeah, whatever. Like, don't do that. You have so much to give. Each of us has individual skills and talents and an individuality that the world needs. And you want to develop that and discover that, and you have to be intentional about that. So the second thing is, I know you have to be willing to work hard. Don't just expect everything to come to you. You get an opportunity, you work at it, you learn from it. It might lead you to something else. So you've got to be willing to do the hard work. I'm not talking about overwork, but just really be willing to show someone like, yeah, I want to do well here. I think, again, you know, when you're younger, being willing to be brave.
Be brave.
Make it, say yes, say, yeah, I'm going to try that. Be adventuresome. Take big steps, because when you're older, you're like, I don't want to do that. And really learn to be true to who you are. Learn to be true.
Learn to be true.
Yeah. You know, really is like, is that working for me? Does that make sense for me? Yeah. Because when I look at my own life, you know, my 20s, I went to graduate school. I lived abroad for almost 2 years in Japan, and then I worked in New York City. All really, 3 really big things. And at the time, I didn't think much about it. I just was going from one thing to the next. But afterwards, I was like, yeah, each one of those helped me develop certain skills and confidences that at the time, it was like a little puzzle piece.
Puzzle pieces.
But then it came together, and everything I learned in those puzzle pieces, now I'm at a full puzzle. So see life as building these little puzzle pieces.
puzzle pieces.
Yeah, putting puzzle pieces together,
Okay.
getting the pieces that make your puzzle, that make the
Make
puzzle
us
for
a
you.
puzzle.
Yeah,
Our own puzzle.
yeah.
というわけで今回は海外の教授に後悔したことや20代に戻れたらこんなことしてみたいななど聞いてみました。いやー面白かったですね。やっぱり人生の先輩として学ぶことも僕たちいろいろあると思います。皆さんは20代もしくは20代の人は10代ちょっと高校時代の時中学時代思い出してみてこうしたいなとか思いました？ぜひコメント欄で教えてください。ではこれからもいろんな人のリアルな話を聞いていくので高評価チャンネル登録をお願いします。ではまた。